Welcome to Live Action Star Wars Presents Data Link. I'm Ralph.
I'm James.
And today we are talking about HALYX.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's called, what is it called? There
live
is a
from
title
the Tomorrowland stage.
live from the space stage, I think it is. Something
like that.
Something like that.
Right. I kind of just wanted to mostly talk about the band, but I think the best way to learn about the band is watching Defunctland's documentary about the band.
I had no idea that this existed.
Right. And I did. Before, like, since 1997, I've known about HALYX. And it's one of those things where no, because I was still like,
I mean, you're 17 years late.
15 years late. Yeah.
Yeah.
But okay, so here's where I came to know HALYX. So I used to work at Disneyland. I work in the custodial department. We used to park back behind Toontown and get changed, and our lockers were there and stuff. Mm-hmm. Then they moved us to the front of the park because they started, I don't know, they just were expanding stuff in the back.
Yeah.
So
Toontown am I right in thinking that Toontown is now where Galaxy's Edge is?
No, Toontown is near Galaxy's Edge, but it's towards the back of the park.
Yeah, I remember because when I first went to Disneyland, like Toontown was new. That was like it only just been built like within the last year or two.
Yeah. So they moved us to what they called the old admin building. This is the administration building, like back from like 1955 and stuff. It's on the other side of the train tracks, just to the right of the Disneyland train station. Mm-hmm. When you go through the tunnel and see the Grand Canyon and the dinosaurs, that's like attached to the old admin building.
Okay.
So the thing is, when you worked at the old admin building, you'd come in through the front. You'd have to go under a tunnel under the train tracks up to where our office was. Mm-hmm. And in this tunnel was this sort of, we called it the time tunnel. They would just have like 1955 and they'd have pictures of opening day, or they'd have like 1954. They had pictures of orange groves and stuff. And as it went through, they just had pictures from like every year.
Cool.
Then in 1981, there was a picture this big amongst all the pictures, and it was a person going like this, looking up and singing with a giant furry monster behind him, and in the bottom it just said HALYX. And
that was the only representation of them, basically, I'm guessing, anywhere in the park.
Yeah. So me and my friends, Dan, producer Ryan and stuff, Kelly, all my Disney friends, every time we'd pass by there to go home, we'd go like,
of course. Oh yeah. You got to show your respects.
Because they're like, what the fuck is this? Because we don't know. Like, I know Disney history a little bit.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what that was. And like watching this documentary, like a lot of people didn't know what that band was. Is 1981. And see, so the thing is, when I saw the picture, like, this is 1997. Like, internet wasn't just like, oh, let me just go look it up.
Yeah, you can't just Google what the hell is HALYX sort of thing. Like,
so I might have looked it up back then and maybe saw a couple pictures, and it's like the same couple pictures.
Yeah.
That you
I'm guessing the
now.
poster, like that promo poster, a couple of those shots that they show throughout. Yeah.
But I mean, it was 1981, so it wasn't like cell phones. There were barely video cameras, and people who's going to take a picture of the band, and are they going to be good, and who's going to know that those pictures are still around however many years later to scan them and upload them to the internet.
Documentary, it looks like they maybe recorded the first performance, like the opening night one or something, but then after that, like, it's not like they were recording every show, because why would they? It's literally there for a live thing.
So basically, what does this have to do with Star Wars? Nothing.
Barely. Yeah.
Barely. It's like if we do a data link on the movie Star Crash, like, hey, listen, Star Wars influenced a lot of stuff. I don't even know why I thought to do this one.
Yeah, I figured it just like popped up on some feed of yours and you're like, oh yeah, HALYX.
No, it's something I think about once a year probably. And I have Defunctland released enamel pins of the HALYX H, and
it's such a cool logo.
I have no idea where it is, and I'm very sad about it.
It kind of looks like a TIE fighter, or like a what you'd see a TIE fighter on a targeting computer or something like that sort of,
Yeah,
just like
yeah,
real simple, real easy. Like, yeah, it's cool. It's a good logo.
yeah. So, yeah, I really hadn't thought of HALYX much until the documentary came out a couple years ago,
Mhm.
and for some reason, I thought about it recently, and I
You
was
know,
like, you know what?
a crowdfunded documentary. You say, like, why would that
Yeah,
come up into your mind?
yeah. Oh man, watching it this time around, it definitely felt different,
I
knowing
bet.
how what it takes to make a documentary.
I was thinking
Um,
about you watching it, going, "Oh, okay, cool." Like, so
right,
you can't, you're never going to be able to watch a documentary without sort of being in that producer mode. I don't think. Like, you're going to see
right.
it from behind those eyes.
But that's the thing is for them. I mean, with me doing the Lost documentary, it's like I know everybody in Lost.
Yeah.
Defunctland, I'm trying to remember his name. I sent a message out to him and didn't reply. Was like you had to figure, also you had was based on some pictures and
Yeah.
had to do like some research
Mm.
um to find these people. And that's something that we don't have to do now because we're not covering something that's, 40 years old.
Well, that's it. And I like
Yeah.
they managed to get everyone who's still alive from the
Yeah.
band in this, which is great.
And including Mike Post.
Yeah, right. Like that was one that I was
Mike
like,
Post.
oh wow, that's a like
Yeah.
a legit, like that's a name.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool. And he
That's
seemed
like when we might
like
announce
proud
like
of his
Michael
role.
Emerson. It's
Yeah,
like, oh, that's the big dude.
yeah, that's a key player. But
Yeah.
yeah, like, and Mike Post was, I thought, he's not in the documentary much, but what he is in there is, he seems like he's genuinely like happy and proud of what he did with the band.
Yeah.
Which is great to see. Everyone does. Everyone, like, okay, there's a couple of members of the band who like are a bit. That we'll talk about all of them, I'm sure, but there's a couple who seem like they were into it more than others, or
Right.
are now. But
Well, it
everyone
seemed
was
like
like
the dude
happy
who
to
played
remember
the
this.
bass player who played the Wookiee,
Yeah,
not the Wookiee,
yeah, the quote unquote
um,
rookie.
was like, I didn't give a shit. I was covered in fur. No one knew who I was. My reputation wasn't on the line.
Yeah, I could go and play in bands like whenever I wanted.
Yeah.
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 The guitarist looks like he's tried to keep that same look for the rest of time.
He's
He
just
looks
that
like,
guy.
yeah, he's like, I was really hoping that one day I could just be in Black Sabbath and they wouldn't even notice. Um, like it's okay. So for anyone who hasn't watched this documentary, the band HALYX is kind of, imagine Kiss, but done the way of Star Wars, with Joan Jett as the lead singer. Um, like that's sort of what they're going for. Like that is, and yeah,
Right.
there's with like a little bit of proto Daft Punk in there as well. Like it's,
Yeah.
yeah, like there's, it's interesting.
But it's like a rock band with synthesizer. Like it's
Yeah,
really,
it's a real like 1981 rock band. Like
yeah.
that's yeah, for sure.
And here's the thing. This is something that didn't occur to me until I said, "Hey, why don't we just talk about HALYX?"
Mm.
Because we've been gone. James and I, well, sort of. We've been gone for a couple weeks.
Uh-huh.
We did Ahsoka 2 weeks
2 weeks
ago.
ago. Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
We had our interview with Gary Whitta last week, which we recorded back in September.
Yep.
And so it's been a while, and I'm like, I want to come back to Data Link. I want to do something like kind of weird, something
Weird,
different,
yeah.
nothing.
I was
But I
ready
didn't
for
want to
something weird.
do. I didn't want to do something like a Q&A where it's just like we're chatting. I'm like, so I don't know why this popped in my head, but I'm like, let's do HALYX. Let's talk about HALYX because it's such an interesting concept. And as soon as I sent you that and said, hey, do you want to do this? And you're like, yeah, sure. I don't know what it is.
Nope,
I'm like, okay,
no
cool.
idea.
Watch this documentary. It's a YouTube documentary. It's not like gonna like blow your mind, but it's interesting enough.
Outside of the poster and the runtime of the documentary, I had no idea about any of this until about 2.5 hours ago.
Yeah. But as soon as I sent that to you, I'm like, well, Disney owns these characters.
Yeah.
Disney also owns Star Wars.
Yeah.
Why not make them canon?
Put them in there. Like, it's the sort of thing that, in the same way that like it's been decanonized now, but what's her name from the Ewok movies, the second Ewok movie, the little girl, Sindel. In one of the old EU novels, they wrote Sindel in, and she'd like grown up and become a journalist and something like that. Like, so in the same way that you can see just background band, or I tell you exactly where these guys would fit in the Jedi Survivor, the second one of the video games that came out like a couple of months ago. You can unlock a DJ essentially for the cantina that is your sort of hub. And as you're going around, one of the collectibles that you can find some places is music discs, like, and it's tracks. And then when you're in the cantina, those songs will play. Why not have HALYX be one of those bands? Like, and you can find a couple of these songs, and then like you chat to a character, an NPC, and they'll talk about HALYX or something like that. Like,
that would be the easiest thing.
Easiest way of doing it.
That
like, you make you canonize him as a Wookiee. The percussion player already looks like one of the cantina aliens. Like, it'd be great.
My idea was like in like something like Book of Boba Fett, get rid of Max Rebo. A, he doesn't look as good as the original, and then B, like, I mean, it has to be someone we already know. Like, that's where they should have fit in. I think right there, just have him in there. If there's any sort of opportunity to do it there, 100% do it. If they need to make I forget what they called the yak-haired Wookiee guy.
Yeah, I know who you mean. He named him himself, didn't he? Like the bassist was like,
they all named themselves.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Like, get him in that situation or name drop them. I'd say, like, if you're in Skeleton Crew and it's about kids in space and they probably listen to music, I don't know if we're going to see like some sort of, I know it's like, I don't know if it's going to have like, I know it's kids. And I feel like maybe we get some sort of iPod or Walkman in the Star Wars universe. Have a mention HALYX, put the H.
Yeah, the logo. Well, that's it.
Put
like,
that logo somewhere.
That's what I made me think about this, because as you're like going through, you can select the track that's playing in the cantina. It could just be their logo, like on that. It's so easily done. I think the only reason that it probably hasn't is because the people making it don't know about it.
Right.
Like,
that's why we're here.
Yeah.
We're not the biggest Star Wars podcast at all.
No.
But much like make Biomes 2 happen, make HALYX canon.
Yeah.
Canonize
HALYX.
Yeah, let's make that happen, because Disney, you own it. I think if we can get to like a Filoni, or get to like a Matt Martin or somebody in the storing group who, when they're talking about whatever the next thing is, and they need to put music, like in Ahsoka, Sabine's listening to like a punk music.
Yeah, it's great.
Like anytime I know the story group, do we have do we have something like a band we can use, or music we can use, or a name drop we can use? If it's musical related, I need the story group to remember HALYX is in the back of their mind.
So
and to pop it up.
Another easy, I've just came to me there. Another easy one. It's like, it's a shame because it's a novel and you can't hear it. But in there was the Alphabet Squadron books, the Alexander Freed wrote. There's a character in that. She's the B-wing pilot, I believe, and she has playlists, and she's just listening to music from all around the galaxy. And there's entire chapters where she's just talking about, describing the music, and it's cool. And you get like weird genres named, like such and such punk music from this planet and that, and it's like, and they mention some canon stuff that we know about, and that would have been a prime time to have, like, she's annoying the other pilots because she's blasting HALYX over the open comm channel sort of thing. Like, easy.
I think it's doable. Before we get into it more, let's talk to the chat.
There's a comment here that I really want to know more about.
So Jeremy Kelly dropped in. He's going to watch later today. Of course, we're doing this at 9. 2 days ago, James and I did a new Invincipod episode. We did it at 9, and poor Jeremy wasn't able to watch live. It just, I don't know. We feel like I'm kind of in hiatus mode.
Yeah, it feels like. I mean, we're
the 9 o'clock start times.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
If
Like
we can
next
do it.
week might be the same because I'm off next Wednesday as well. So we'll see.
Oh,
Oh,
I just realized it's a
oh,
regular episode next week.
it is a regular episode next week.
Is it your pick?
It is, yeah.
Okay. Think about that.
Yeah, I've got something in mind, but it depends. If you've got something else, I don't mind. Like if you want to know if you...
No,
okay,
not at all.
okay, cool.
It just occurred to me that we have something going on. Jeremy watched the documentary.
Cool. Yeah.
And he's interested in hearing our discussion. Lucha Johnny's here. Greetings and salutations. Check out his channel, Geek the Fuck Out, or GTFO channel. Sarah, who's over in Florida right now, so for her it's
at Disney,
noon.
right?
Yeah, she's checking out some Disney shit.
She needs to go and, like, Sarah, not necessarily graffiti, but maybe just start like dropping HALYX like things.
Yeah,
we should
mention HALYX like every moment you can.
Yeah.
Like whisper it in everyone's ears, especially in Tomorrowland.
Yeah, of course.
Stevie's in the next room over. We're gonna jump over to Ian Hart is here, and then we have Fetz with some comments. And
Fetz is all over this. This is great. So the one that I want to talk about is Fetz. Please, I want to know. Like, HALYX saved me.
He's farting around.
I'm sure, but I mean, fart around some more. Tell me a story. Make something up.
I can tell you something. I'll tell you something. A couple years ago, right before lockdown, Stevie and I went to Galaxy's Edge for Life Day, and the rumors circulating around the people who you could tell were there for Life Day, people wearing red, people with the globes. People were talking about, we're meeting at Galaxy's Edge around this area at sundown. And so Stevie and I were there all day. Our feet are getting tired. So let's just head over there.
Yeah.
We'll grab a bite to eat, grab a drink, and we'll sit down. If you watch the video
that's where you filmed
of me at Batu, that's when I filmed was trying the mixed milk. It was like a red and green milk.
Okay.
So as we're sitting there, someone comes and sits down at the table next to us, clearly there for Life Day, wearing the red trucker iron-on HALYX hat.
Amazing.
And I believe you can also get those through Defunctland, and I kind of want one.
I did have a look. I didn't see the hat, but I just had a quick look on the link on the documentary on the YouTube. So it's a link within a link from us, from the comments below. But yeah, they do have merch. Like, I'm guessing it's print on demand. Like, they've got t-shirts, they've got pins, they've got a bunch of stuff. So you can get it.
Awesome.
It is a cool
no
pin.
idea where the pin is, and it's driving me nuts. When I misplace something, it makes me crazy, like really crazy. I have a belt that I lost last week, and I tore the house apart, and I get real snippy.
You didn't leave it in the other unit, did you?
No, it made its way back. I have a feeling it got left in the laundry room.
Okay.
But it made me mad because it had a DC Comics belt buckle. It's like a piece of shit belt. Yeah, Stevie, listen, I can't, because I just looked for the pin like right before we started. My brain thinks of everywhere it could possibly be, and I have to go check. And it's driving me nuts, but it has to be on a shirt. Usually it's on my jacket, but I'm leaning up against my jacket right now. And it's this big.
Oh wow, that's tiny.
So my whole thing is right now in my brain, it's, if I need another one, I can probably order it somewhere. I'm good. But it's it's the small H.
Yeah,
it's blue. Oh my god, it's so good.
I've got a Star Wars related like lost item thing like that, and it still drives me nuts to this day. Maybe 30. How old am I now? 36. So yeah, probably like 30 years later, I'm sat in the hallway of the house that I first grew up in, the first house before we moved for the first time. I'm sat there playing with the Kenner figures, and I've got Luke with like the removable lightsaber. So Return of the Jedi Luke with the green lightsaber.
Right.
And I'm sat there. Imagine I'm sat on the floor, toys in front of me, toys around me. And I go like that, put the lightsaber down, just out of sight behind me, play. maybe 2 minutes later, turn around, it's gone. There was no one else in the room. There was nothing. It is vanished, and it drove me nuts. And clearly, it still drives me nuts because to this day, I will think about it. Yeah,
Did you
same sort of thing.
guys? Oh, it might have been before your time. Are you familiar with Mad Balls? They're
I
like
know
little
of them.
Nerf softball sized balls that look like monsters and stuff. Well, they had one that was an eyeball.
Like, yeah, faces. Yeah.
I had the one that was an eyeball, and it ended up between the garages, our garage and the next door neighbor's garage. It went over the wall,
Yeah.
and I couldn't find it in the bushes. And so like a couple days later, ended up tearing it out the bushes and stuff. It wasn't there, and it's just like, why?
Like to this day, I still think that, like, I don't know, was there a little mouse or something running around behind me that grabbed it and now has a lightsaber probably lodged in its throat and died?
I thought just like, running around with a lightsaber.
With a lightsaber. I mean, yeah, I thought that at first, but then I was like, no. Oh, I had my toy.
I hope it choked.
Yeah. But yeah, it's nuts, isn't it? The things that stick with you, like these things from childhood.
So Fetz lost an eyeball, Madball too, and it haunted him. I still think about it. I still think about going back to my house and looking between there to see if there's any remnants of it, knowing full well it's not. Maybe it's supernatural.
Maybe, yeah, that's it. Yeah. Little mouse house with little lightsaber. I mean, it would have probably fit. It would have been maybe a little small.
Yeah,
I don't know. Depends on the size of the mouse.
Yeah.
I
have any artists in the chat that
if we do, or anyone who listens to this, draw that. Draw little like 4, 5, 6-year-old James sat on the floor playing with some Star Wars toys, and then a mouse with a lightsaber like behind me. That'd be great. That's not HALYX. Let's talk about some HALYX.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, dude. What? There's not. It's time to talk about.
It's nuts. So I really enjoy the documentary. I know that we're going to talk about the band and everything about it, like in general, but the documentary, because it was my first and only introduction to this thing, it played out. And at first, I'm like, okay, we're doing one of these. This is a weird one, but then like I was hooked. I was watching this thing, and I was like, oh no, I'm all in on this. Like, this is great, and it plays out kind of a lot like a behind the music, the way that, like, as it goes on and you see them all coming together, the way that it's a manufactured band. It's a Disney band. It's not like any of these people knew each other.
That's what's funny about it. They start the documentary showing like the Tomorrowland stage with these fucking like variety hour Disney dancers. I hate. We talked about this, I believe, on our Star Tours episode, where they did the opening ceremonies for Star Tours, and it was Star Wars characters Disneyfied dancing around to whatever was popular music at the time, 80s pop.
Was that an Ed episode? Was that one of Ed's episodes?
No, but
that was another one. Yeah,
he just did the dancing stuff.
That's right.
Which is the same thing. It's like,
I think it's worse.
That Disney shit is fucking awful. And then when I started working in custodial, we would have to clean up after events like that because the crowd would be there. They'd stop doing their dumb performance and then they'd take off, and we'd have to clean. So we'd stand there and for like the last like 2 minutes of the shows and just wait for them to go away. And just, it's that, what is the South Park Getting Gay with Kids, like that South Park episode where it's just like manufactured Disney lip syncing fucking performances. Just it's not entertaining to me ever, and I don't know if it's been entertaining to anybody since like 1964.
It is such a throwback. It's something that really just shouldn't exist anymore.
They still do it. They still do it.
Yeah.
And so when you see that Disney is creating a band and they're like, oh fuck.
Well, that's what I thought this was going to be. I thought it was going to be like an over-recorded track that they're just miming to, and there's like big characters pretending to play guitar. Like, so there's the documentary opens with like a super fan essentially who's just like, first concert that I ever went to, first rock band that I ever saw was this band HALYX at Disneyland. And it made me think, like, I grew up around music. My dad was a DJ and everything like that. He managed bands. So it can't have been the first, but an early concert, quote unquote, that I went to would have been Universal in Florida when I was 3 years old, and it was Dr. Teeth and the Electric, whatever it is, the Muppet Band,
Mayhem,
Electric Mayhem, yeah. And I remember that distinctly, probably because it was on like camcorder as well, so I've seen it back since. But like, so, and I mean that is it's a pre-recorded thing where like they're just doing their thing. You might get some animatronics, you might get people in suits, you might get whatever it's going to be, but it's exactly the same, note for note, every single performance.
Yeah.
And that's what was so refreshing about this. And HALYX is like, that's a band. They're playing their music.
Yeah. There's pictures where people are, or where the band are wearing the trucker hats.
Yeah.
With the HALYX on it, that clearly someone made and threw up on the stage.
That's later in the summer.
They weren't so precious about the storyline. They were a rock band.
Yeah.
And they're just like, okay, this Wookiee is going to put on this hat.
Yeah. It was like in the summer of 81, they went from being this like glam hair rock, like hair metal, not metal, but like that thing, to like just a little bit like grungier and dirtier and more of a band as it went on. As the summer went on, they found their feet. Like they tried out a few things. They talk about like they tried out their rendition of a Celtic folk song, and they were like, it didn't work.
Yeah,
we hated it. It didn't
work. The acapella one.
Yeah.
But they had like recordings of it, which sounded crazy.
I mean, that was, I think, the original that they'd done a cover of. And yeah, the harmonizing on it is super cool. I can see why they'd want to do something like that. Yeah. But it's also then like, yeah, the drummer was out of key, and so it sounded like shit. So we never touched it again. And he was so glad because that he didn't want to be singing. He was like, I'm a drummer. I've got to deal with this platform raising up and swaying while I'm trying to drum already.
Yeah. And the guitar player didn't like the outfit he was given, so they gave it to the drummer, and it was too restrictive for the drummer to play.
The guitar player just wanted to be in a proper rock band, like, and he still does to this, to at least 2020. Like that is, like he's not given up his dream yet, and good for him. He looked like he was having a great time.
Yeah.
He looked straight out of like.
And then if you do a search on like Instagram for HALYX, like the hashtag, I was amazed. Some of those guys pop up and they're hanging out.
Yeah, it's so good. I mean, you got to think that maybe like since this documentary, it's put a few of them back in contact with each other, and it's lovely. And I was shocked that I didn't even look for like a GIF when I was posting the story on the Instagram and stuff. But when you put it up, and I was like, that's a GIF of every member of this band. That's nuts. Like I struggle sometimes where like there's a new Ahsoka series or there's a new Mandalorian. It's the same 3 GIFs every time. But nope, HALYX, every member of the band has a GIF.
Yeah, there was an animator that worked on the Defunctland documentary, and they posted on Twitter at one point, all of the animation GIFs are a searchable GIF in Instagram stories, and I'm like, oh man, I can't wait. I can't wait. I used all of them for my thing, and I'm like,
they look awesome
and I was just like, and they look so good.
Yeah, they're really good.
Cool.
They're well made.
And how could that not be in a Star Wars?
Well, that's
you know what I mean? Like, none of them look. What's great about it is they're made in 1980, 81, and so they have the feel of the 70s. Something which Star Wars tries to do so hard is to make sure things look of 1977. And here's like 6 character designs from that era that Disney owns. That could just be slotted right in
to make them Star Wars. Like it,
Most of them are just jackets.
Well, that's it.
The character Wog with the smiley frog face looks straight up like. Yeah, I know for you, it's spelled WAAG.
Yeah,
I know for you, they mentioned in the documentary.
Yeah,
it's a slur. So I don't know. Yeah, I shouldn't be saying it.
It's definitely not the character's name. They make a point of saying that. Yeah.
But when I looked it up on on Twitter now, it's WAAG. But
and to be fair, it's not commonly used anymore. It's not like it's a term that has had much play.
Maybe I shouldn't.
Yeah, probably not. It's like yeah.
But that character looks like someone straight out of Maz's castle.
Well, and he looks like the ghost face guy who's in the cantina in
Yeah.
77 in Star Wars. Like,
Yeah.
but in this he's a bit more amphibian. Because they had jacked Sean Penn looking guy who was as the percussionist.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you see him now, and he does. I like facially. I was like, oh my god, he does look like Sean Penn. It's weird. But then like they didn't show much of him actually performing on stage. There was only a brief little bit where they sort of showed that like his gimmick was that he was gonna go and annoy the Wookiee, like, and then scamper up the thing. But he's doing like flips and stuff. It's like cool. You've got him. Use him for that. It's
There's not a lot of footage.
no.
It looks like mostly home video camera footage.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Mike Post says he doesn't have the tapes.
Yeah,
he doesn't have any of the tapes.
Any of it exists.
He said he's looked through them. He doesn't have them. But they've got to have some sort of sheet music or talk to those guys. They played those songs for a full summer.
Well, there's cover versions, like people like over the credits and stuff like that. People have covered them, so like they could go in and do re-recordings. They know, like, I mean, some of them are adaptation. They bought the rights to some people's music, like the
Jailbait.
Oh god, yeah.
What a weird. But that's the thing. You get the Disney entertainment, like dancing on stage bullshit that you get,
and
then those people are like, okay, jailbait.
Yeah, it's like they just went and they listened to it, and they're like, yeah, it'll be fine. It's like they slipped through some cracks and just managed.
It showed you that nobody cared about what's going on.
Yeah,
on the live shows, and I wish I could have seen it. I was around. I was 4 years old. I was into Star Wars. I feel like if I went to Disneyland in summer '81, I would have taken notice. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Because that poster is amazing.
It's great. It's
a really good poster
of that time where you've got those big, like, it's Flash Gordon. It's the original Star Wars one with like ripped Luke with the chest open and like Leia around his legs. It's all that same sort of that high fantasy sci-fi, like heavy metal sort of style poster. Yeah, it's great.
Maybe we can talk to like Riley or somebody about writing a story and dropping HALYX in there. Yeah.
Just name drop in there.
I mean, it's so easy.
Yeah,
so easy to type.
Yep. It's like you just need a name, and it's a fun. It doesn't
just drop the name.
The word doesn't mean anything else. It's not been used in anything else. It sounds Star Warsy. Like it made me laugh when the guitarist was like, he's like, I hate it. It's a terrible name. What is it like? Suck my HALYX. Like, it's like, dude, come on, stop trying too hard to be like edgy and rock bandy. Like,
it's a weird name. And Mike Post was saying, I don't know what the other names were, but they were just as bad.
Yeah. But it went through design, like, as if it was a production, because it's not, again, it's not a band that's like playing gigs and then Disney brings them in. This is a designed thing. So you go through the different names that they went through, and they've done mock-ups of all the art and everything for under all of these
Starfire and
Starfire, all of this. Like it's like you're running down the list of things. Like that would have been another place is in Rogue One, like Project HALYX. Like it's like something like that. It's very reminiscent of that. But then when they're doing the designs for the characters themselves, you've got the Wookiee bass player, and you see some of those earlier designs where he looks more Wookiee, and with like the beard, like the braided beards. It's like, well, that's just Captain Tarful. Like that's been used, that's been done since. Like
looks like Battle Beast.
Yeah, it's Battle Beast from Invincible. It's Tarful from
got a little bit of a panda bear in there. And then they kept referring to the keyboard player as the stormtrooper.
Yeah, like, just because it's white armor. Like, love that. And that guy's an excellent keyboard player. Like, he is amazing. Yeah. Like, you hear him like in now, just like playing some keys and stuff like that. And he's excellent. He's really, really good. And was married to the lead singer at the time. Brilliant. That's a kind of a tragic story that I'm sure we'll get to in a little bit, but Yeah, like he was amazing, but under a mask the whole time. But had
Right.
one of the coolest setups that they obviously had in mind from the get-go. They're like, okay, cool,
It's like
keyboard
a
player. He's gonna be sat
Professor
down,
X chair.
put him in, put him in the like the Professor X chair. But that's what made me think it's sort of proto Daft Punk as well, because like they're always just behind
Yeah.
a console. Um, it's very cool. It moves around. It's got lights attached to it. Both guitars have got lasers and stuff that they can do stuff with. It's fun.
I'm gonna bring up a picture of them because I don't know
Great.
how many people actually watched the documentary, but
It sounds like a trip when you're just talking about it. It sounds super weird, and it is. But
yeah,
you can see it, and it's like, oh, this is so 80s, early 80s.
yeah.
But then, it's the lead singer. What was it, Laura something or other? Ah, here you go.
All right.
That's the band, including the backing singer. It's great.
Yeah, yeah. So look at that keyboardist. Like, look at that machine he's in. They're sitting on it.
Yeah,
It's so big. It looks like she can like go and stand on that too. Like it's a platform on the front.
Yeah, I mean, there's a shot near the end of the doc when it's like showing the close of the show, and it looks like the lighting rig has been lowered around her to make it look all sort of sci-fi-ish as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
they clearly had some production on that stage going on, like aside from just the lights and the smoke effects, like, and the raising drum riser. It's cool. It's very good. Like they put in a lot to it. It's kind of strange that they didn't want to bring it back the following year.
Yeah, and what's crazy is you watch the footage, and I don't know if this is the documentary doing this, but it sounded like just kids were eating it up.
That means you see them in some of those home footage, like some of the home movies.
Yeah.
Like they seem to be loving it up front. Look at that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that dude's huge, and you can kind of see off to the side here the that
The
platform.
logo on the front of that platform. Yeah.
And apparently the logo lit up really bright, and there was like a Starfield behind
Starfield
them.
in the back. Yeah.
This looks
is
like it was
obviously a
taken
flash.
with a flash.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
but I mean,
But the
that
fact
dude
that
100% could be in Star Wars. You can finesse that design.
easily. Could be like, if he's not a Wookiee, he's the same species as, again, Rogue One, like one of the rebels. I can't remember which one it is, but is part of the team that attacks Scarif at the end there. Or no, it was with Saw Gerrera, I think. It was the big white furry dude. All of them could easily fit in there.
Yeah, and again, every single picture on the internet is a tiny little picture.
Yeah, I bet.
It's like
There's no high def footage of these guys.
There's no way I can make this bigger.
No.
It'll just
watch the documentary. Like they've used all of this. Yeah. It's fascinating. But then like the tragic story is the lead singer who. So they'd put them together in hopes that they'd be able to sell records and stuff afterwards, put them out as an actual band. Like they've done their summer of performing, and then they were hoping to be able to record and just release them and put them out. Warner Brothers Records went under just before they seemed to be able to do that. They had her under contract. They only wanted her as the lead singer. But the other guys were like, yeah, they were going to get some residuals. They were going to be used as day players in her band. Like imagine Wayne's World when Cassandra gets signed, but she's still using Crucial Tone. It's similar sort of thing.
It's like Danny Elfman moved over to MCA as Danny Elfman's solo, but everybody in the band is from Oingo Boingo. Like
that's it. It's the same guys. Yeah. Which you can see would cause some tension with some bands and with some people and things like that. But others, and sometimes they're like, yeah, we get it. We know. Like, we know what this is. And I think with HALYX, they're like, we know what this is. And we know that if the best way that they can get out there is to market around her.
Right. So this is the image that I saw every night, or every day when I left for work and went to work. That's all.
Oh, okay.
That's all it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
So it was
actually
like
the highest risk picture I've seen.
that's great. So it was mid performance as well. It wasn't like a
Yeah.
salute that they're doing. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that's even better.
And I don't
That's
even think she's doing. I don't even think she's doing a
I think her
thing.
arm
I
is just
think
like
my love of
yeah.
she's just singing. Yeah, I think because I was so into Flash Gordon like that is probably like a greeting for somebody that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we just
I mean,
took that. I
I
mean,
think it's been used in many things. And then yeah,
yeah,
you can see the percussionist in the background there, like looking like he's either sat on a stool or he's mid like squat or jump or something.
yeah,
Um, yeah, it's wild. I
yeah.
can imagine seeing that and just having no idea there because there's like you can't even make out the H.
No,
No, it's great.
no.
But then yeah, so she gets signed. The record label goes nowhere. They sort of release it, but she's holding on. She's holding on to the hope. The rest of them are like, yeah, cool, all right, whatever. It was a fun summer. I'm gonna go and be in a band. I'm gonna go play some music. I'm gonna go do whatever they wanted to do, and seemingly had no problem adjusting. Where she, by the sounds of it, the way that it sounds like she came from nothing. She wasn't really in any music before this, but then couldn't really adjust her life out of it and left. Like she got her paid out from the contract and then packed up and left, and then came back for her dog and then was gone.
Yeah,
It's really sad. Like it
yeah,
was sweet, like hearing the keyboard player talk about her fondly still after all this time, and like how he bears no ill will to her. The way that things ended, but
yeah.
you can sort of see that it's just like sad. You know, that was a sad way of it ending.
Yeah. Laura Mumford
That's sad. Yeah,
is her name, and like listening to her vocals, you're like, oh yeah, she's amazing.
yeah, she's great. She could have and should have been a star, but
Yeah,
it's just one of those things where it's like, and even the person who wrote Jailbait was just like, oh no, she's great. She's like, she was a proper singer. I was just belting out stuff in like a rock bandy sort of way. She's actually a
yeah,
good singer. And everyone talked about how like, no, she's got it. She's got this had the presence. She had the stage like presence about her. She could sing. She was definitely, it's a weird one because she was in the right place at the right time for that style, but just not in front of the right people
right.
to get her break. But you could picture a very slightly sort of a sliding doorsy moment where like she's a big deal, she's a big star, she's Joan Jett, like she's that sort of person.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a bummer.
it is a bummer. And
Real. Yeah,
then like seemed to have a different life, have a whole life in what Colorado was it she went to, and
yeah,
then passed away, which is really sad. No,
yeah.
no real details given about it. Like it doesn't sound like
You
it was
mentioned
anything.
she was diabetic,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
that's it.
yeah. Sucks.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it also sounds like, as you were saying, like if you go onto any of these guys' Instagrams, like some of them seem to be like friendly with each other or like hang out sometimes, that's awesome. That's really nice. It's sort of heartwarming to see.
right, right. Yeah. It's such a bizarre thing, and it seems so. Even today, it doesn't seem like something Disney would do.
No, I can't.
Um,
I mean,
they
you
still,
definitely would
they're
know
pushing
better than
the
I, but
they're still pushing the Disney Kids, the Disney Channel stuff, and the like wholesome entertainment. And it's like, rock and roll isn't bad.
no. Well,
Rock
that
and
was the
roll can
thing.
be family entertainment.
They were talking about this. Like the guitar player was the first ever performer with long hair, like a first ever male performer with long hair at Disney. Because at the
Yeah, he had to
time
get through.
they didn't even let them in. It was like that's wild.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
I can see
yeah,
that. I can see that.
really, yeah.
I remember walking into Harbor Point because he would have gone through Harbor Point, the same place I went in,
Mhm.
clean shaven with my short hair and clock in for work every day. And you never, even when I was there and from 96 to 2005, like I never saw anything. When I went
Yeah,
back in 2015, though, like they had allowed like beards and stuff.
yeah, that's good.
So, but it's just like it's such a weird thing to hang on to. And I
Yeah.
know Disney just celebrated their 100th anniversary. I'm just like,
This
they're
week,
still
wasn't it?
doing this. Yeah, it's like 2
Yeah.
days ago.
Yeah.
It's like still the same shit. The Disneyfying of shit is just like, oh, it drives me nuts.
Yeah.
And this is like this weird sort of, they try to do something for one summer, and it
It,
seemed like it was a good
like
time.
the again, I'm blanking on any names. I didn't make any notes for this, but like
Right.
the guy who sort of seemed to be the producer of it, who was in control of it, who was sat on his couch in the interviews and stuff
With
for
the
this,
hat.
with the hat, yeah. Um, he he seemed like he was almost surprised that they were able to get through with so much of what they wanted to do. But he was like, "Let's
Right.
do it. Let's do this thing, and let's try and get as much of this out there as we
Well, where
can."
is that now?
Well, that's it.
Where is
You
that
need
now?
those people who are gonna try to do this stuff, try to do something different. Like, not all of it's gonna get through, but unless you start pushing boundaries and things like that a little bit, then nothing's ever gonna get through, and it's still gonna be like very sterile.
I mean, even in the cantina now, you have DJ Rex. Why not bring in a DJ? Because they still have the stage. They still have a stage in Tomorrowland.
Mm-hmm.
Like, create a robot character DJ that plays whatever space age shit they want, and
Yeah,
like, I don't know, but you go now and it's just like fucking. It's so, dude.
yeah.
It's so manufactured.
Mm.
Because it sounded like, yeah, they had a playlist and they had the band and they created the band and stuff, but the band just did what the band did. It wasn't like they weren't
Told
like
like
forced to
they've
do a
got their set
specific
list,
way.
obviously, but
Yeah,
like, but it sounded
they
like they
probably
okay, and
performed it
they
different every night.
mhm. And they said like early on, like they had to be careful for like being a bit too risque on stage or anything like that. And sure, I'm sure that there was like they're not going to be doing anything that is going to completely break the Disney thing. They're not out there like
Right.
cursing or anything on stage at Disneyland, but so they're playing within parameters, but even like they're pushing those parameters as much as they can.
Mhm.
And they were saying like they had fans where they were like, yeah, like we can't really do like what we would normally do as a rock band. Like we're not gonna go there because our audience is teeny boppers. It's like it's young kids and their
Yeah.
families at Disneyland.
Yeah.
But they had them hooked because again, it's that not talking down to kids thing. Like kids
Yeah.
then go there and they think that they're seeing something a little bit edgy because for Disneyland it is a little bit edgy.
It's way edgy
Yeah. And
because
so they're gonna appreciate it.
they're not dressed in vests and bow ties.
Exactly. Yeah. Like yeah, singing Grand Old Opry sort of stuff. Like it's
I mean, this is a year after Empire Strikes Back.
that's a really good point. It's before. It's like
Star
right in the
Wars is
middle.
huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you go to Tomorrowland and you get a little slice of Star Wars in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before any Star Tours or anything like that. It's like it was there
Yeah.
before even that. Like, and it's amazing that it didn't come up with the Star Tours stuff that we were talking about. That they had already done this. They'd sort of dabbled a little bit in trying to get some sort of Star Warsy feel. Yeah, yeah. It's crazy to think now. Like now we can look at it and go, yeah, it's Disney, it's Star Wars. Of course, it's all like part of the same. But it's like back in '81, it wasn't, and it's even
Yeah.
before they had a working relationship with something like Star Tours. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Like they were still like 7 years off or something.
yeah, something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Super fun. It's something that
Yeah.
I had no idea about before this. But now, like, I'm glad that I do. And yeah, definitely make HALYX canon.
Yeah. Why not? Why not?
I
If
mean,
you're a
I think
writer, if you're a
that's it.
writer for
Why
a
not?
Star Wars novel,
Yep. Just throw it in there. Name check.
just put those 5 letters in a book.
Whenever you need a
background. If you're
character
doing a
listening to
comic,
something. Yeah, comic. Yep.
poster, put the poster, do a poster.
Oh yeah.
It
Put them on
seems
a
easy.
like a like so easy that it's like this really should be done, and I feel like the only way that it's not, because you could like it's the sort of thing that also would be able to get through
You're right.
without anyone like batting an eyelid or being like minding about it. The only way that it wouldn't is that people just don't know about it
They
enough.
don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we
Well,
should be able to
I think we
get
should
it somewhere.
push it to the people
And
that we
who
talk to.
knows? maybe it is somewhere.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, we
Let
could be
us know
talking
in the
out our ass.
comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I haven't
I've
seen it.
I've not seen it, and I wasn't looking for it. That's the key. So, like, I read a lot of the books and
Yeah,
comics and stuff, but I would have never been looking for it. So
right.
it could be, but I don't think it is. I feel like even just like in cursory googling for doing this episode, it might have popped up. Like I'm sure. In fact, I could do it right now. Um,
Yeah.
just pull up Wikipedia.
Yeah, yeah. Wikipedia would just.
Yeah, it would be right there.
I wonder if the only entry would be something like a Star Wars
Inspired thing. Like,
yeah.
Okay, let's have a quick look. I never go onto Wikipedia as a site. I always Google for the thing and then click.
I think I have it in my
the link.
I have it in my bookmark bars. I just opened them up on Wikipedia.
Okay.
And I don't have they don't have names for the characters. It just says bassist, keyboardist. So yeah,
nothing.
Live from the Space Stage, a HALYX story is the name of the documentary. It's down in the description below. And go to the
Why weren't these guys playing? Why weren't they playing on the Halcyon, on the Galactic Star Cruiser? Like that would have been perfect.
Yeah. Right. Again, I think you're right. I think nobody knows about it.
Yep.
I feel like somebody. I feel like a Matt Martin would know.
I'm sure that some of these guys they know and they just haven't put it in there. But it's the people writing the stuff like that. Yeah, they might just have their own twist on something that they want to put in there first. Who knows? Maybe one day. And if it does, we can not take credit, but like we can be very happy about it.
Hey, if this becomes a movement and it gets pointed back to us, great.
Amazing. Yeah, I would take
and
it.
Then also, I mean,
I'd rather have that and then like be credited for some part of helping to get HALYX canon than have my name like portmanteaued into a planet name or something like that. That'd be more fun.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we'd point it back to Defunctland for,
of course, introducing it to me,
putting out the documentary and reminding me of this picture that was in the hallway, 20 years ago. So, thanks to Funkland. And if you guys haven't checked out the documentary, check it out. It's a lot of fun. It's interesting. It's not like super mind blowing, but it makes you like, it's fun when you unlock a piece of Earth's history that you never even had any idea existed.
Probably never would have otherwise.
Yeah. And it's funny because it's like Disney people know every single corner of Disney, and this still sort of eluded some of them. So let's make it a thing.
Let's make it a thing. We're fairly short this week, but like I'm fine with it. I feel like we've talked about it enough. It's a Data Link episode. That's all cool. We've got a regular episode next week. We don't need to rush off. It's been a while since we've had a regular episode that I've not needed to rush off to work that wasn't in the middle of a season of TV. So let's do a movie. We haven't done a movie in a long while. Let's. I've got a couple.
I'm trying to think what you have left. I know one of them.
I've got three. I'm not going to do that one because I want to save that one.
We need to make sure we have guests lined up for that one, right?
We absolutely. Yeah. That's what I want to happen for that one. So that leaves two others. It leaves me with Revenge of the Sith or The Force Awakens. We haven't touched the sequel trilogy yet. Yes, we have. We did Rise of Skywalker. So
speaking of Riley,
yeah. We could finish out the prequels, do our last coverage of a prequel movie, or we could do The Force Awakens. I'm very both of them. I got a poll for both of them.
Yeah. I mean, those are bookended movies. Those are
Exactly. Like it was the last
the
one
end
and
of
then
old
the
Star
next one
Wars and the
back.
beginning of new Star Wars.
10 years in between. Yeah. Let's do.
What if he just said the other one?
No, because
What if you're just like,
and
it
so
needs to be, that needs to be like,
I want to do that like we did Rise of Skywalker. But the other one that we're talking about is The Last Jedi. But like with Rise of Skywalker, because it's so divisive, we made that a celebration episode. We had people on that
Yeah.
like it. And I want to do the same thing for The Last Jedi because it's a movie that I really like. There's things to talk about. I wouldn't say complain about necessarily, but things to talk about that might not be everyone's favorite. But I want to make it overall a celebration. So we're not going to talk about that next week. We'll save that for when we've got something lined up and we can plan it a little bit better. We might be able to get a guest for next week, but if we don't, I feel like we can talk about The Force Awakens without a guest. So let's do The Force Awakens next Wednesday. If we can get a guest, great. If we can't, it'll be me and Ralph, and we'll talk about what was the return of Star Wars.
Yeah. It was huge.
It was huge. It felt like 99 all over again.
And then for those of you who want to check it out, there's plenty of time to catch up. You have about 2 weeks to catch up on Invincible, the Amazon Prime show, because we are going to be back with our show Invincipod, which is the original podcast that James and I did.
Yep.
Live Action Star Wars is the spinoff.
HALYX is the spin-off of that.
And we got, yeah, we're
down the rabbit hole on this one.
but I mean, guy, like Invincible, I'm so excited.
We're buzzing it. If you've not listened yet, go listen to our talking about the trailer for season 2 because I think just our enthusiasm about it is palpable. Like every time that you and I will talk about that show or Invincible in general, I'm so much more hyped about Invincible coming back.
I started a rewatch yesterday.
Nice.
And we sat there and watched it, and I laughed, and I thought it was great, and it's fun, and it's so good, and the characters are so well written, and the season is such a perfect, well thought out 8 episodes of an hour-long drama with action and comedy in it, with really well-written characters who are
amazing
likable,
cast,
and just a ton of fun and a ton of hope. You kind of wish that for some other franchises. It's so good, and the fandom is there. It's all positive. It's great, and it's so much fun to talk about and so much fun to watch. Jeremy Kelly, who was here earlier, read the entire 144 issues in like
a month tops.
9 days, like 9 days or something. It was a short amount of time.
Yeah.
But check out Invincible. I'm not saying you have to go read the entire series, but watch the show, 8 episodes, and then you can watch the Adam Eve special, which is another 15 minutes. Oh, goddamn. So in the coming month, in November,
we'll be back early in November. Busy. It won't be the day the episode drops, but it'll be early. It'll be like within a week.
But based on IMDb,
1 a week, hopefully
1 a week.
And that is IMDb is an Amazon owned company, so you'd think that they'd have the right data for it.
And the title of episode 1's already up.
And the trailer didn't say anything about like a 2 or 3 episode drop or anything like that. So normally Amazon does, even when it's a returning show, they normally do like 2 or 3 or whatever the show is. So we'll see. But I'm excited. For however they do it, we'll probably do them like 1 a week.
With the exception of the first episode, I think they're going to be all on Fridays.
Amazing.
Right, like our 7:30. Yeah.
Invincible Fridays.
Because Amazon's good about releasing those things Tuesday nights.
Yes.
The way they did Ahsoka. So I'm excited, dude.
Me too.
I'm so excited.
Me too. I'm excited for next week as well, because Force Awakens next Wednesday. Time will depend on guest, so keep an eye on our socials and everything like that.
And then I don't know if it's a live episode, but today I am joining a Holdo Maneuver podcast with Mark and Mike to talk about Solo, a Star Wars story.
Nice.
So
that'd be exciting. Go and listen to our friends at Holdo Maneuver podcast. Until next week though. I think
I'm gonna die.
Okay, cool. Well, before Ralph dies,
I'm good.
And Hopefully he comes back before next week as well. Yeah, never forget the eye from Fats. You'll find it one day, buddy. Yeah, until next week, don't give it to hate.
Celebrate the love.
Punch it.